16% of our federal prison inmate population are not even American citizens, according to Congressman Jim Jordan. Think about that number. In a heated testimony, prison experts finally provide Jordan the truth about illegal criminals in our federal prisons. It's an eye-opener, revealing the consequences of weak or non-existent immigration enforcement. Make sure to stick around after this clip because I'm going to show you exactly how much money you, the taxpayer, are spending every single year to house these illegal immigrants. This is Andy with TrendingPolitics.com. Like and subscribe because the details you're about to hear will shock you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Pertel, any idea how many inmates in federal prison are not U.S. citizens?
I actually do not know that, sir. I'm sorry.
Mr. Potter, do you have hazard a guess or no?
I do not know.
Mr. Wild?
I do not know.
Mr. Milton?
No, sir.
Well, I think you all testified there's staff shortages. The gentleman from New York just talked about staff shortages. Maybe if there weren't 24,000 federal inmates who are not U.S. citizens, maybe we wouldn't have a staff shortage. Maybe if the administration before this one hadn't just released into the country people who came here illegally and actually detained them, they wouldn't have committed some of these crimes and wouldn't be in federal prison. You think maybe that would help with the situation on staffing that you all brought up, that the gentleman from New York just raised? Mr. Pertrell, I'll start with you.
No, I do, sir. And I'm assuming that most of those are under an immigration detainer for when they do come out.
I don't know about most of them, but that's a question I'd have too. Do you understand that? Are they under the detainer when they're released, that at least ICE will have the ability to go, they're not just going to be released into the country?
That's my assumption, but I do not know those numbers.
Mr. Potter, do you know if that's actually the case with these 24,584 Bureau of Prison inmates are not U.S. citizens? You know what percentage that represents of the federal inmate population?
No, I do not.
16%. Maybe we wouldn't have a staff shortage if this would have been dealt with in the previous administration. This is something President Trump is trying to deal with going forward. 16%. Do you know if there are detainers for these individuals who would be subject to that currently going on currently, Mr. Potter?
No, I don't know.
Mr. Wild?
I don't know.
Mr. Milton? Any idea?
No, sir.
Well, what we do know is what happened a few years back. I think goes clear back to the Obama administration. I sent a detainer to the Board of Prisons, or Bureau of Prisons, excuse me, regarding the individual who wound up killing Kate Steinle. So many of you remember this situation. The BOP didn't honor that, instead released this individual to San Francisco, to law enforcement there, who then, to the jurisdiction there, who then released this guy to the streets, who wound up killing Kate Steinle. So I think this is something that we should look at here, this huge part of the population in our federal prison who are not citizens. And again, I appreciate the work. We've known about prison fellowship for forever and the good work you all do. We appreciate the work you're doing with inmates. But I think this is one area where we could make some change. And again, I think the Trump administration is seeking to do that, and certainly not following, well, we're not having near the migrants come to the border now that were coming in the previous administration, but certainly not releasing people into the country like was done before, which then gave the opportunity for this situation to happen with some of these individuals. Any comments on that? Mr. Potter.
I think they may help situation, but I think restoring collective bargaining unit rights is an important issue. Treating people like professionals is also important. So do I think it'll solve the staffing problem? I don't think it'll solve the staffing problem. I think there's a systematic issue here. Mm-hmm. And I think when it comes to how you value the people that work there and how they feel valued is what's going to keep them there.
Fair enough. Any other thoughts from the rest of the panel? Not, I'll yield my time back. I'll yield my remaining time to the chair. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
$44,090. That's the amount it costs U.S. taxpayers to house a single federal inmate each year. Now multiply that by the 24,000 illegal immigrants in our federal jails, and that's over $1 billion a year every single year, 1.05 billion to be exact. And that's your hard-earned money every single year. Let that sink in. This isn't just an economic burden. It's an outrageous misuse of taxpayer funds, especially when considering how many of these crimes could have been entirely preventable with proper border enforcement in the first place. Imagine if our immigration policies had kept out individuals who were never legally allowed to be in this country in the first place. How many lives would have been positively impacted if that $1 billion had gone towards, education, infrastructure, healthcare, veterans benefits? Remember Kate Steinle? Her tragic murder by an illegal immigrant who had previously been deported multiple times underscores the human cost of weak border enforcement and sanctuary city policies. Steinle's murder has been, her killer was released back onto the streets of San Francisco rather than being handed over to ICE authorities due to the city's sanctuary policies. This devastating case exemplifies the real dangers Americans face when cities and states prioritize political agendas over your safety. Now, Jim Jordan's testimony here highlighted precisely the kind of problem that's going on here. He emphasized that if previous administrations hadn't irresponsibly released illegal immigrants into American communities, many of these crimes leading to these incarcerations in the first place might never have happened, or in fact, they wouldn't have happened. Jim Jordan also pressed these experts about immigration detainers, tools that are designed to ensure that when illegal criminal aliens finish their prison sentences, they're immediately handed over to immigration authorities rather than released into the general population. And unfortunately, as Jordan pointed out, the system failed dramatically in cases like Steinle's. And these are not just statistics we're talking about. These represent real devastating impacts on American lives and families all over the country. And it's clear that our broken immigration system and policies, they don't just strain our resources, they put Americans at unnecessary risk, or at least they did before Trump. And what if instead of spending billions housing criminals that should never have been there in the first place, we invested in better border security during the 4 years of Joe Biden, or stronger enforcement of immigration laws, or enforcement of immigration laws at all? These are clear policies that the previous administration had that brought in dangerous individuals into this country illegally. And this isn't an issue about compassion or humanitarian aid. This is about responsibility. It's about safety and smart allocation of taxpayer dollars. Americans like you and I, we deserve better. I'm so glad that Trump has secured the border, and it's time for us to hold the previous leaders accountable, demand transparency in how decisions are made, and ensure that the policies for future administrations are enacted with Americans' best interests at heart. As voters, as citizens and taxpayers, we've got to stay informed and active. The border issue affects us all, from the economy to the safety that we go through with our own families, and from crime rates to the core values of our own communities. You have a voice. Use it. We need to demand accountability and change from the elected officials locally and federally who prioritize politics over people. This is Andy with TrendingPolitics.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, because together, let's continue to shine a light on the truth, challenge the status quo, and demand policies that genuinely protect and serve American interests for you and I. I'll see you next time.